Hello. Happy Monday.
Hi. Good morning.
Yes, thank you. This hour is an earlier meeting for you today in Europe, right? It is 4 p.m. there now?
Yes, that's it.
Yep. All right. In 3 more weeks, you change to, right?
Yes. You have changed this past weekend, I guess.
That's right. Yep. So for 3 weeks, I know at least Sebastian Wagner said he'd have a conflict. So
Yeah.
Potentially we could move this meeting 2 hours later on Monday if we want. I think I could make that work.
For me, it's
I'll
okay.
ask Sebastian. Yeah.
Sage and Sebastian were talking about the meeting time in the IRC chat earlier, trying to move it around a bunch of stuff.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know exactly. I thought they decided on this time, but I'm not really sure what happened. They moved it around 3 or 4 times.
Okay. If they're already discussing it, I'll leave it to them. Because the main topic has been the Ceph ADM lately. All right. I guess we go ahead and get started with who's here. So welcome to the Orchestrator Weekly. A couple of Rook issues I'd like to start off with. Juan Miguel, you want to start off with the manager password?
Yes. Well, we talk about this in past Friday. Okay, but there are some comments in the possible solutions that we can adopt in order to solve this problem. I think that for me the right one is to add a new parameter to all the commands in order to hide the information that parameters in that command. Okay, because basically we can avoid, we should avoid to put this information in the log files if we are using the command line, for example, a final user using the command line, or for example, if we are using a parameter, a command object from another orchestrator, I think that in any case we should hide this information. This is what we have in the back. It would be nice that somebody with more experience in the manager put comments or opinion about that. Okay, once we know how to solve this, we can start to implement. I don't. For me, it's okay to get this task. Okay, but the first thing is to have clear how to solve. And this is all from my part.
Yeah, I'm not sure the best approach. Hello, Sage. Okay, yeah. Just talking about the manager password issue and how to hide that. You have some thoughts on that?
What do you think, Sage? It's about the password and critical information put in the logs in plain text. What do you think is the right way to solve this? We have several options in the back. Sorry, I'm going to copy. Have several options in the back. I think that Ernesto has with a lot of details, the different possibilities, and for me the right one is the per command adding a new flag. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, that's the easiest. The per command is the easiest one to implement, but it obscures some information because there are lots of commands that are pretty generic, like config key set, that could be anything that you're setting, and it's nice to know what you're setting. I think it might be better to do the per argument. That's a little bit trickier to implement though, because we need to make sure that flag and that string that describes the CLI command doesn't get passed to the CLI, because CLI chokes when it gets a command, type of flag, whatever, that doesn't understand. So it needs to be filtered out on the server side. We just need to be a little bit careful there. But it's just like a couple lines to do it properly, I believe.
Okay.
I think per argument would be the way to do it.
Okay, so it's time that we are going to add a new command, or well, this means to modify all the commands that we have in this moment, adding the sanitize clausule.
Yeah. Let me put this on my list. I think I can look at this today.
Yeah. Okay. No hurries with that. It's just to know what is the best way to proceed.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Sounds good. The next thing on the agenda is the Python client for Rook. There was a Ceph repo created a few weeks ago, and Sebastian put all of those, the files there. So this morning, I created the repo to mirror that into the Rook org. So that is created now, and everything that had been committed as of this morning is now also committed there. GitHub made it easy to just basically mirror it over. So I'll follow up with Sebastian on making sure we use that going forward, and I think we should be
Sounds
good to go.
Good. Cool.
Yep. And yep, that's all I have on that one. Let's see, blinking lights then.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you had any luck this morning, if you were looking at it or.
Yes, I have. I am working with your cluster, Sage.
Okay.
Trying to solve this. Okay, I am centering in trying to debug what is happening with the service and why it's impossible to communicate with the service from the operator. So let's see if I can find something. I have collect information from other colleagues working with basically with OCP. It's not the same, but more or less. Okay, and let's see if I can find something between today and tomorrow. Let's see.
Okay.
If not, I will put all the things that I have done. I think that I have tried almost everything possibility in Kubernetes, but let's see what happens.
Yeah. Something with the networking firewall config, right?
I have a question about the network layer. What if I'm in the process of setting up Kubernetes with QVAD and on my other development node, just so I can do testing with Rook? Should I be using Flannel, or there's one that starts with C, or
Calico?
Yes, you can. I use?
Well, I think that it should work with all the pod network providers. Okay, I have used Calico in your cluster. Okay, probably Travis, you can you have more experience using different pod networks. But what I have seen and I have tested several of them is that basically it works. Okay, so.
Yeah, I mean, Rook will work with any of them. I think from what I've heard in the community, it seems like people have more luck with Calico, where sometimes Flannel doesn't work for them. But okay. I haven't configured them myself, honestly. So it's.
What do you use when you develop locally?
Mainly just Minikube. So I don't.
I am using Calico in your cluster, okay, and Flannel in my dev environment. Okay, and for the integration test, we are using Weaver.
Okay.
There are
Maybe I'll try
possibilities.
Final then. I don't know. Okay. I mean, is that a possible source of their problem with why you're not able to reach the monitors on me?
No, I have I have rebuilt the Kubernetes cluster, I think that 20 times with different possibilities, different pod networks, drivers, and different approach. Okay, so I in all the cases is the same. So I'm pretty sure that is something in the environment, in the network environment, but I can't find what is the problem. Let's.
And you tried host networking, right? Because host networking shouldn't even use any of those providers. Just
if you use host networking, the problem that you have is that in the monitor there is an error showing that you can bind to the address that is going to be used in the service in Kubernetes. And if you don't use host network, then it seems that everything works, but in the operator you have an error message because the operator is not able to connect with any monitor. So, we're very, very good thing.
On one of the nodes on CPOC, there's a virtual bridge interface, I think because Virt Manager is installed or Virt D. You might want to disable that. Might be with Virt D service.
Well, but in the one with the last test that I am doing, I have forced the placement of the monitor and the operator in a stud in the what is the control plane node. Okay, in order to to avoid any kind of additional problems in network, and the problem is happening in the same host, in the same node. In this moment, in the worker in the control plane node is running the monitor and is running the operator, and I have the problem.
Okay. Good.
Let's see. I will try to do my best between today and tomorrow, and let's see.
I mean, with host networking, usually the issue is there's some firewall issue or IP tables issue. I mean, if you're not using host networking, it's whatever the CNI.
Yeah. It seems like host networking should just work. I don't know.
I mean,
it's there shouldn't be a firewall turned on in the first place. I don't know.
No, firewall is disabled in all the nodes. And the good thing is that I'm learning a lot of things about Kubernetes networking. So all these things are useful. So it's a little bit frustrating because in order to test one damn thing, I have spent more than a week. So, well, let's see. No, everything is lost. But at least I am learning things.
Yep. Okay. Okay.
Next item is your stage with Orchestration.
Yeah, Sebastian's going to be late, and so I think we should just wait for him to talk about it. That's all. That's ADM stuff. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in work. I think my main goal is to get my kubeadmin cluster set up on CentOS 8 on my development box, and then figure out kubejacker so I can actually work on the orchestrator, the Rook orchestrator module without having to do a multi-hour turnaround time. And at that point, then I'm just going to go through all the CLI commands and just try to figure out what the current status is and refresh and blah, 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 so that we have as close to parity with FADM as possible. So hopefully I can sort that out today. I seem to get. That's weird. I'm like Googling for how to install You maybe ADM with Cryo and Podman instead of Docker, and there aren't packages as far as I can tell for CentOS. Maybe I'll just use Docker and do the default since that's what everybody else does anyway.
For testing. Yeah.
I guess the future hasn't arrived yet. So yeah, I think that'll unblock me.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool.
Did Sebastian say if he'd be here on the half hour, or
he didn't say? He just said he would be later.
He said late. Okay.
He has a conflicting meeting. So, but
yeah.
I think so I guess the main question here is so in Rook, if you delete the CRD, then all the pods obviously just get cleaned up. Everything goes away.
That's right.
But in
data on the host to clean up too.
Yeah, it's just a little bit different with Ceph ADM because we have like the equivalent of a CRD as a spec, and it's per daemon type. So there's a spec for monitors that basically describes where your monitors go. There's one for each MDS cluster or each file system that maps directly to a CRD. But so sometimes they map onto a CRD and sometimes they don't. And the question is basically if we should support having people like manually create a daemon even without the spec that describes where it should go, or if we should require that you operate through the placement thing, basically.
In the Ceph ADM spec, or?
Yeah. So I mean, the CLI commands are like Ceph orch apply monitor, then you do like count 5 or just 5 or whatever, like how many you want, and Ceph orch apply. Do I want 3 of those, or I want them on host, host 1, host 2, something like that. Or Ceph apply RBD mirror. I want to be on host labeled or whatever. You describe basically where they should go. I think in Rook, all of this will all map, and I guess in the easier case, is Ceph orch apply MDS IFS.
Right, it just applies to the Kubernetes placement settings.
Yeah, this one will go directly maps to a CRD, the Ceph file system CRD, but these other ones are just going to be modifying bits and pieces inside the cluster CRD, right?
Cluster CR, exactly.
Yep. And you can do all these things. You can specify account and just specific host names and also label. Is that right? Those are basically the 3 ways you can place things.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Host name, labels, or what was the third one you said?
Just account. I want 4 of them, and
4 of
put them wherever.
Oh, right. Yeah. Depending on the daemon, I mean, with Mons we can say how many. I think with RGW we can say how many. With
manager, it's always 1.
It's always 1. Yeah, exactly. But with most of the daemons, there's a way to specify how many.
Okay. I think that's fine. Yeah, I mean, I guess Sebastian's probably right. I think basically we just up until like last week, you could just create daemons and destroy daemons at whatever, like manually, and they would just be there. But now Ceph ADM lets you like specify this placement description, the spec for the daemon type. And the question is what happens if the spec doesn't exist, but the daemon does? But I think that's really just like an upgrade case for people running early RCs. We should just basically require that these exist. And if that doesn't exist, then it cleans them up.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, and one thing with MDS, like in the CRD, we've got how many active do you want and how many standby do you want?
Yeah, right.
That's a little different.
Yeah. Yeah. Ceph ADM isn't controlling that part. It's just there actually is a pull request that needs to be refreshed, but would basically automatically adjust. So in Ceph, there's a setting of how many active you want that would basically go the other way. They'll tell the orchestrator to go spin up that many daemons but there's always a standby or in standbys or something like that. I think we need to decide which direction go there.
So does the setting in Rook not make sense, I guess? Should we just start how many daemons do you want, and then it's leave it to Ceph to determine which ones are standby and active, and that could be.
I think this is the sort of the philosophical problem we kept coming back to. It depends on whether you're driving Ceph via Kubernetes or the other way around. So if you're using like the dashboard or the Ceph CLI to manage your Ceph cluster, and Rook is just there to keep daemons running, then it makes sense to drive it that direction. But if you are a Kubernetes native user, you just want to say everything from the CRD and just have it work.
Right.
I wonder if a way around that would be that the file system CRD could have sort of different sets of properties. So one would be number of active and number of standby, and you'd use those if you're driving it from Kubernetes. And then another one would just be number, total daemons.
That the dashboard.
And it would sort of use one or the other. Rook would use one or the other.
Yeah.
And so Ceph would just say the total daemon count.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. We could do that.
Okay. That's a pretty easy change, I think.
Right. The operator would just implement making them exclusive. If you do this, then
yeah, it has to be one or the other for the CRD. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder for the manager if it makes sense to do something similar, so that via the orchestrator, you might say that I want the manager to run on one of these three hosts. And so when Rook is creating the one, it'll make sure it restricts itself to those three.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with Ceph ADM, it would just run one on all, it would always run them, but it would respect the same.
On all three.
Yeah.
Right. So on the CRD, you could specify the placement settings so that the manager would run on any of those three and could fail over
or a label or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And Rook would respect.
They're saying Ceph ADM just runs it on all three.
Yeah, because then they actively fail over. Because the operator or controller, whatever, is in the manager, and so it has to.
Has to be highly available.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Sorry, I was on mute. It's just to comment that that with the manager in Rook, what we are doing is to avoid to have more than one manager. Okay.
Yep.
Because the problem of the ports, I think. So there is possible to use the placement properties of the CRD to put the manager in the host, in the node that you want. One question is that I'm not sure because I'm not too much update with the Ceph ADM. In Ceph ADM, there is any kind of CRD file or something like that.
It's sort of like that. We're calling it a spec, but it's basically just information about the placement for each daemon type or file system.
Okay, but only for placement, or I think that probably it could contain more information, more settings about the object that is trying to model.
It could, but we're trying to basically not, so that orchestration layer is as thin as possible. It's really just about running daemons and where to run them, and nothing else.
Okay.
Otherwise, we have to duplicate logic between Rook and FADM, and we want to, or anything else that comes along. So we want to keep it as thin as possible.
Okay.
Rook is always going to support more than.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Audio.
Okay, no problem.
Right. Hey, Sebastian. Welcome.
Hi, Travis.
Welcome, Sebastian.
Yep.
Hey,
Sage
Sage.
back. You have audio yet, Sage?
I'm muted. There we go. Can you hear me
There
now?
we go.
All right.
Yes.
Yep. I was just going to say that Rook is always going to support more than just placement because you want to be able to describe everything from the Kubernetes CRD, not interact with the Ceph CLI or dashboard at all. But coming in the direction, we just want to restrict it to the minimum set of things we need.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Sense.
Cool. Okay, so I guess that's sort of two small action item bugs, whatever, for the Rook side, Travis. One is the
settings for the manager, or
yeah, the
or MDS actually.
file system security, either active plus standby counts or to the cluster CRD manager placement list.
Yeah, and that one already exists today. So I think we're good there.
Manager placement, you could specify where it goes.
Yeah.
So just the
There's a-
file system one.
There's a placement section in the CRD that lets you do it for individual daemon types. Yeah, so it'll work for the manager or any of the other daemons. Great.
Okay. Hey, Sebastian, are you feeling better?
Yeah, much better. Still a bit coughing. That's okay.
I think the last remaining question is just this: what Ceph ADM should do if there's no spec.
No. So what about So of course we have the case if we have daemons without spec, but should we allow going into that state like just removing the spec without removing the daemons? Do we really want to do that?
Trying to remember why I kept running up against this, why I wanted to do it with the spec but not the daemons. I can't remember why I wanted to do it. Maybe the host was down or something?
Yeah, that would be a thing we have to take about. Is removing the spec without the daemons really the best way? Or should we just rm daemon minus force things?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think there's even independent of whether you actually want to end up that way. There's sort of this question of whether it should be asynchronous. Like, should you just be able to delete the daemon and have it happen return immediately, and then in the background go and clean them up the same way we create them? Like, that seems nicer from an implementation's perspective,
and less error prone.
Yeah,
for the user with timeouts, etc.
Right. Which is, I guess, proposal 2. But then I guess if in order for that to work, then we basically need to, if we find a stray daemon that doesn't have a spec, we should just delete it. Always.
Well, that might be a bit problematic for the upgrade case, right?
Yes, but the upgrade case only exists for like our release candidates. So
Oh, yeah.
So, and there could be we could have a config option for whether it removes orphan daemons also, so you could behavior maybe. But,
can we invent that spec from existing daemons?
we could, like, if a daemon appears, then just create a spec.
Yeah.
We could do that once. I mean, like,
One for
in
the upgrade.
general. Once for the upgrade case, you mean?
Yeah.
Because
Can
I
we
mean,
do
there are
that?
only 2 clusters that I know about that are running it. They're both mine that like are active live clusters, so I can just create the specs before upgrading. Also, I think that'd be fine. It's a little bit weird. I think we probably want to add some safety checks because, like, if the config key record disappears for monitors, say, it's just going to delete all your monitors. I think the only thing that sort of makes me nervous is the service operator apply thing. When it goes and deletes daemons, it adds the force flag, which means it will delete monitors and Prometheus, and it'll like actually clean up, delete data.
That makes me nervous. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what about having user explicitly enable deleting of daemons, which is off by default as a safety mechanism?
Could do that. We could also, when we delete one of those things, we could just, instead of deleting it, just create a backup directory. Like rename the directory and leave it deleted. That only happens if you delete a monitor or a Prometheus. That's probably the safest thing to do because then everything works automatically. And if something goes wrong, like it's all right there. You just need to rename it and it's active again. Yeah.
Thing with deleting daemons, if we don't have a spec, that's going to be the intended use case if we do it in the background, right?
Yeah. I mean, what I was really trying to do here is make it so that it'll do your monitors for you automatically, right?
What about only removing daemons if we reduce the count to 0 in the placement? Does scheduling it down to 0 daemons and then it's safe to delete the spec? That would make it so that we only have daemons if we have a spec.
To make it a 2-step process to remove stuff. Like if you want to delete a file system, you would scale it to 0 and then delete it. It's just like you have to. It's 2 steps and you have to wait, which is sort of annoying.
Yeah.
You can't just delete a file system.
Yep.
It could have that behavior just for so the ones that really are scary, it's really just the monitor one. That's the scary one, and we should just not allow you to delete it at all, right? Not allow you to scale it down below 1. I think that would sort of solve.
Yep.
I guess monitor, and then you happen to lose it, then that's your problem. The backup won't.
And scaling down OSD should be.
Yeah.
Is drive groups and using a very different code path, so not a big issue.
Yeah. Okay. That works for me. So I think the question is, should we have an option to remove the orphan daemons, or should it just do it all the time? Might as well just clean them up if they're stray, I guess, right?
I guess the question is, if we do more aggressively remove the daemons, is there any backing data, persistent data that's lost by doing that, or it's just the daemon and we could scale back up and start it up again, right?
In general, there's nothing there. Like the OSDs, it's just metadata about the OSD. We don't actually wipe the device or anything, so you could bring it back. Yeah. And in the monitor case is the only one really where you're deleting. Let's monitor OSDs. Prometheus has some like historical stats. If you delete a Prometheus, then you're deleting actual data, but it's not like super important probably. and then
Right.
the monitors. Monitors are the only one. But we wouldn't allow you to delete. We would always require that the mon spec exists and not clean them up because it doesn't. Special case safety check there, and you wouldn't let you delete it. You could only scale it down.
Hmm.
I think that would be okay.
Makes sense.
Okay, I can do that. That makes sense.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. And I guess the last thing I wanted to mention is the pull request. Oh, maybe you review it already. You already reviewed it. Immersed it. The default placement. That one. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that was a bit scary because you had a 5 for the default month.
Yeah, but it works at least currently.
Okay.
And it means that it sort of like encodes in code and automates what we actually want people to do, which is have up to 5 daemons as long as you have 5 hosts and then stop. I think that's what we actually want people to do.
Yeah.
At least that's what I've been telling people, and so it just does it automatically. That's pretty nice.
Okay.
Cool.
So
Right.
people will no longer need to touch the month at all.
Yeah, I think the only missing piece is the thing that automatically refreshes configs. It needs to learn what, I think I was going to make it so it remembers what monitor epoch it last generated the Ceph.conf for. So if you add or remove a monitor, then it'll go regenerate all the Ceph.confs for all the daemons so that they know they can bootstrap.
What about overwriting etc ceph/ceph.conf?
Yeah,
So
that's
right
what it
now
would
we are
do.
not doing.
It would, oh, and on the host, you mean? On the host?
Yeah, on the host.
Yeah, that's out of scope for StephVDM right now. Like anybody external is sort of up to them to manage those.
Okay, let's do it then that way.
Yeah, okay. We could maybe have like a config option that says whether on your cluster nodes you want to maintain an etcceph.conf host, make it match the cluster.
For some use cases, it's actually handy to have it.
Yeah. I mean, I do it in practice, but you have to do it manually. So maybe having a feature that you just turn on that does that would be kind of nice.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Actually, we need to update all ceph.conf for all daemons if we add or remove mons.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Anything else on the agenda for today?
Yeah, one thing, Sebastian, to catch you up on, we brought it up while you were out. So the client for the Rook Python client, I did create a Rook repo for that, and everything as of this morning or a couple hours ago is merged in there, so we can start using that going forward.
Awesome.
Yep. So
I have to make Ceph link to the Rook repository then.
sounds good. Yeah, I was just gonna double check the license, make sure we have the license the same as the main Rook repo, and a couple other little things like that. I can plan on doing that.
Yeah, the license was still missing because I didn't know what exact license do we want to have. And as long as it's compatible to Rook, it should be okay.
Yeah, I think I'll just use the same license we have in the other repo.
Perfect.
Yeah, Apache 2. Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Okay.
That's all for today then.
That's all for today.
Yes.
Awesome.
Have a
All
good
right.
day.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.